Welcome to this episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. And right before we start the conversation, if you enjoy listening to the podcast and you would like to support it, please go to convome.com/support and there you'll be able to do so. And now, on to my conversation. My guest this week is Stefanee, and she runs the Etsy shop Blackbird Botanics. She also has her own website, Blackbird Botanicals, where she sells hand-poured soy candles and essential oil blends. Stefanee, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and I also would like to give a quick shout out before we start our conversation to Gloria Ware from Get the Bag. She was one of the people who responded to a post I made on Instagram about where I asked people to mention people that they wanted to be on the podcast, and she shouted you out. So thank you,
Yes, shout
Gloria.
out Gloria. She's amazing boss lady. Yes, for
Yes,
sure.
thank you, Gloria. So, Stefanee, about you, first of all, how would you describe yourself and what you do? Do you consider yourself a crafter, more of a maker, or even something else?
That's an interesting question. I describe myself as an aromatherapist. Um, I took some courses during the pandemic and have worked with essential oils for a while on a personal level, leading up to the opening of Blackbird Botanicals. But yeah, I mean, it's all of it. It's light worker, healer. It's energy work. I put a lot of intention and love in what I do. And so I just think it's a combination of all those things is how I would describe crafter too,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's a bundle.
It's a mix. It's a bunch.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
you get interested in essential oils and the benefits of essential oils and then candles too?
Yeah, so the essential oils in general came first. I used, lavender like in a real basic way and
Mhm.
got more and more interested in some of the essential oils and the products. And then I had kind of a life changing thing and ended up make a long story short, ended up on a remote island off the coast of Nicaragua
Mm.
where there was very limited access to anything, let alone beauty products, natural cleaning products, everything you can think of.
Mm.
So I was living there, and on a trip back from the States, I picked up a few bottles to bring back because they're so tiny. And I thought, and so concentrated, I thought I could use them in many ways back on the island. And
Mhm.
so that's when I started using them, like kind of, in my daily life, all throughout my life. And it was kind of became a lifestyle, and then started spending some more time back in the States due to some circumstances going on over
Mhm.
there, and was able to kind of experiment more freely because I had access to more things, and started making my own skincare. And
Mm.
I just fell in love making my own cleaning products.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it, and I was hooked. So that's how it kind of started
Yeah.
and expanded.
How did you know where to educate yourself and where to find good quality information?
It wasn't until a couple years later,
Mhm.
after coming back to the States and spending more time in the States and experimenting, that I realized that not all essential oil products are created the same.
Right.
To some, it might seem obvious, but it wasn't to me. And I had been working with them for a few years.
Mhm.
So you there's a vetting process, for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
that essential oils need to go through in order to be called pure or therapeutic. but it's not a regulation.
Mm,
So you can be picking up products that state that, or you think, or lead you to believe that, but in fact it's not true.
no,
So I spent time studying that and studying what were the best products and what to look for and how to identify them.
right.
um I guess I'm not really answering your question because I
No,
don't know
no, no.
exactly where I found the information, but I guess I had to sift through a lot of stuff, and that kind of lent itself to starting Blackbird Botanicals, because I could do that for you, because
Yes.
I outsource my products with having had gone through this vetting process on my own. So everything I use is of high quality,
Yeah.
and I make sure of that.
Yeah.
So
So you've done the work for us
right,
essentially.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because I'm thinking, oh, okay, you know how you go to like a TJ Maxx and they'll have something sitting on the shelf. And
Girl.
yes,
Mm-mm.
I've often thought to myself, like, is this, am I just getting this for the scent? Or, is it
And that's
really.
exactly a good point, because there are what's called smell good oils. Now, if you're
Mm,
just using it to drop in as a diffuser or
mm-hmm.
whatever, I mean, but I wouldn't use some of these things on my skin. And uh,
Yeah.
arguably, even those ones in a diffuser are a little bit controversial because they're synthetic, some of them, which
Oh,
is not healthy and no longer therapeutic. So
yeah.
again, that's why it becomes important to use high quality. And once you start using the better quality stuff, it's really easy to identify just by nose
Mm,
what and what is what. You start to understand that there's a it just comes off much different.
interesting.
You get better at identifying it.
Okay. So when did Etsy enter the picture?
So let's see. Well, during the pandemic, actually, right at the
Mm-hmm.
very start of the pandemic, um I was watching a Shark Tank marathon,
Oh.
and with my boyfriend, and I was like, I could sell my the essential oil stuff. He's like, do it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, this could be a long haul. We don't know what we're looking at here. So with the pandemic, that's when I signed up for the aromatherapy classes and started, because I wanted to do it well, and I wanted to make sure I did a lot of studying on safety, and I wanted to make sure if I was going to be selling a product, that I put a good product on the market.
Yeah.
So so then I did decide to lean into selling it and started designing the product, and then it became time to figure out where to sell it. And having, as I stated before, living on an island off the coast of Nicaragua for 6 years, I didn't do a lot of shopping online, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was kind of out of the loop on that, but I was familiar with Etsy, and knew that they put out good quality, products and
Mm-hmm.
vintage handcrafted stuff, and that was what I wanted
Yeah.
to be associated with. So I went on the platform and I found it to be user friendly, and so I said,
Yes.
this is perfect. Yeah. So
Nice.
that was in I guess I think I didn't open the shop till June of 2020, but I started, fooling around with everything in March, April of 2020.
Oh, okay. All right. And between the time when you started playing around on the platform and actually opening your shop, were you doing any kind of research to educate yourself about selling on the platform, or you were just focusing on getting your product line together?
I was more focused on the line,
Mm-hmm.
but Etsy came off very user friendly to me.
Yeah.
So it kind of answered some of those questions. It gives you prompts to
Yeah.
help you, kind of guide you through where to go and what to do. And then, from there, it's, trial and error,
Yeah.
sink or swim type of stuff.
Seriously.
You got to be creative and try different things. So,
Yeah.
but they did start you off in different, in a direction that could help you kind of sift through it.
Right.
I felt like, anyway.
Do you recall about how long it took for you to start gaining momentum on Etsy and get your first sale and then things to start ramping up?
Well, to facilitate that, I kind of ramped it up on my personal social media platforms,
Mm-hmm.
so that by the time the shop opened, I had a welcoming of all the friends and family in
Yeah.
support buying things. And that's what I wanted to focus on, was getting good products out to even a small group of people that can tentacle out, because it is a good product. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I'd rather sell uh, to a small group of people repeatedly than
Oh,
a large group of people once. You know what I mean? Like I want
yeah.
them coming back. So it started
Yes.
with that, and then I felt good, and then from there I started trying. I'm a creative type, so I'm not like I kept trying wanting to make new things. So I kind of thought, well, this is good. I can kind of throw different things at the wall and see what sticks. And kind of went from there. And then that following holiday, because I opened the shop in June of 2020, a friend asked, "Hey, do you have candles?" And I was like, "Duh, why don't
Mm.
I have candles? I love candles."
Yeah.
So that following January 2 years ago, I started doing the candles, and that's when everything clicked. And I was just like, this is my
This is it.
focus. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my thing, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's funny because more than once in these conversations I have, people, sellers have said they hit on, really good sellers based on requests that people had of
Yes.
them.
Oh, yes. I have so many products that come from people like, "Hey, do you have blah blah?" I'm like, "Oh, I never thought of that. That's a great idea."
You're like, I'll have it in 2 weeks. Check
Yeah,
back.
exactly. And it's like a challenge too. So
Yes.
it's fun.
Yes. So, what does a typical day in running your business look like? How do you manage your time? What do you tackle first? How do you set apart time to create and make, and then also, handle administrative things?
Oh, wow. Well, it's easy. The creative part's easy because I love what I do and I do what I love. So
Mm-hmm.
there's never where it's like, oh, I have to make time for this
Mm-hmm.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate, at this point it doesn't pay all the bills. It will
Mm-hmm.
someday, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so I do have to have another source of income. Fortunately, that other source of income leaves my lifestyle very, very flexible.
Oh,
So
good.
I'm fortunate that I can kind of do the creative thing when I want to do it, and really make my really make my own hours. And then there are other times, and there are times where I'm like facilitating a specific order, and then there's other times where it is like going to the therapist. I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna make some candles, and I'm gonna just be in the
Relax.
flow. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. So it's hard for me to like think of it as like I have to make time to do it. So yeah. And
Yeah.
if I'm not in the mood, I won't. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna I'm not
Yes.
gonna make a nice product if I'm not.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Where do you get the inspiration for your the I don't know how to say it, like the not the designs but the products. So you have a citrus mint, um
Yeah.
yes, and then you have mulled wine. Like where does the inspiration or the idea for the blends that you make, I guess I should say,
Oh,
come
that's
from?
fun. Yeah, that's a fun question. I mean, obviously a lot of it is seasonally inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not oh gosh, I don't know how to say this. I like unique and fresh uh offerings, I guess.
Yeah.
I think some of the more obvious stuff is covered. And
Yeah.
I'm also not like a real frilly, ruffly type of woman. I actually find that my product has like in the beginning it had too much of like a masculine feel to it.
Interesting.
So I had to find a way, and interestingly enough, this is when I felt like I really started rolling. Is like I gotta infuse this with a little bit more femininity, because what I
Mm-hmm.
was getting back was just that it was lacking that,
Oh,
and
really?
I could sense that. I mean, no one ever said that to me point blank, but I just kind of sensed it, and then I started looking at products like the ones I was making
Mm-hmm.
that are offered to women and men, and my suspicions were confirmed.
Mm.
So I took that opportunity that first Valentine's Day to really just put in a lot of femininity. And that's when I got rolling, and I was able to have a give and take with the people between what I like and what
What they
they
want.
right. Because
Yeah.
I can't just be up here doing only things I want. I gotta
Yeah.
hear the people. But so I'm kind of finding that I found that balance at that time.
Okay.
And then some of the other inspirations, like it's literally like I download them and they just and they just come to me, or it's like a
Yeah.
memory. I mean, that's kind of what aromatherapy is all about. The
Right.
olfactory system is so powerful,
Yeah.
in particular with memory. And so I, want to inspire some of these memories in people.
Yeah.
Um, I put some prompts on I offer what's called a minimalist candle, and the aesthetic is just black and white and minimal. But there is a prompt on each candle, not always a verb, but usually a verb, um, to kind of accentuate what that particular essential oil or scent profile should or is known to inspire in people.
Oh, so like your peace candle.
Well, that's a holiday one piece,
Uh-huh.
yes. Um, that's like a coniferous,
Yeah.
pine-based
Okay.
scent, so I associate being out in the, snow and the woods, and it
Right.
just being peaceful. Like the lavender sage candle is prompted with unwind because, after a long day,
Oh,
you can light it
yeah.
up and kind of unwind and feel grounded
Okay.
with the sage. So that's my inspiration is kind of revering the essential oil and what its uses are
Yeah.
intended for.
So throughout the year, your product line changes not so much in the products themselves, but say the flavors that you offer.
Exactly, like, I
Yeah.
wanna create a whole vibe, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's a great
Like
way to keep people coming back, right? Because
yeah,
as
exactly.
seasons change, as the year
You never know
moves
what's gonna
along.
be in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So has that been a good strategy for retaining customers? Because the marketers say it's always easier to sell to your people who are already your customers than to acquire new ones.
Right.
Have you found that
Yeah.
that does work well for you? People do come back and say,
Um,
"Okay, it's." Mhm,
It's funny because that you asked that because I just got a message from somebody. I had a whole skincare line on my site,
mhm,
and it sold okay, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and
mhm.
I didn't want my shop to be cluttered. And I make things to order, and so
Oh,
because essential oils are fresh and they have I want them to have the longest shelf life possible when they reach you. So I make them as they're ordered, and so it's kind of hard to have all that inventory on hand that could
yeah.
potentially spoil if it's not moved quickly. So I took it off, but I had somebody reach out to me today and say, I purchased X item from you last year. And I said, no problem. I can still make it for you, which I still
Oh,
can. But,
cool.
so, so yeah, I mean, I think if somebody really likes something, then there's certain things that I keep around just because I have certain clients who repeatedly buy
Always
that
come
one.
back.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe no one else does, but this one person really enjoys it. So I'm not going to take it off,
Yeah.
or at least I'll let them know on a personal level. Hey, it's not going to be on the menu, but you can reach out to me and get it.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know, if the client base has how they feel about things ever changing, but I like it,
Yeah.
and I'll always have a baseline of items that I
Of
offer that will always
staples,
be there.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like the idea. I think it does keep things fresh,
yes,
and interesting for customers to come back. I mean, if you think about it, retail stores do the same thing. They don't sell just the same clothes, month in,
absolutely.
month out. Their inventory changes. That's why we keep going back. Like, okay, what new thing can I get? What new thing do they
Absolutely,
have?
and, I was reading an article about, retail and, seasonal stuff because, in the summer, I was designing my holiday line, and right
Hmm.
now I'm designing, like, Valentine's,
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like you have to, especially with the
Yeah.
supply chain the way it is, or
Yeah.
or lack thereof, and who knows and what. So that's kind of how it rolls. And I was reading about the retail, and they were like, there's 52 seasons in like, I think they were it was specific to clothing, but 52
What?
seasons in retail, because every week they're moving new stuff. Like the
Yes.
Forever
Okay.
21s and H&Ms and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's not just 4 seasons anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm not trying to get that crazy, and it kind of makes sense on that, Forever 21 H&M retail level.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But on a smaller scale with me, I do like to keep it fresh. Um, I started doing what's called unique offerings recently. I actually don't have them on Etsy right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I have them on my website, and I curate really unique, vintage, or just unique in general, pieces, and then I make candles out of them, and I sell them as individual pieces. And that
Oh.
has helped kind of satisfy my yearning to do something different all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
while maintaining a baseline of items for the consumer so that they
Yeah.
can repeatedly come back and get
Yeah.
them.
And for anyone who wants to check these out, Stefanee's website is blackbirdbotanicals.org. I will have a link for it in the show notes for this episode, but you can hop over there and take a look and see what she's referring to. And yes, your product line there is different. Let's talk about running a website. Did you set that up after you were already selling on Etsy, or about the same time, or did you have it before?
No, I just did it this year. So I had been on Etsy for 2 years.
Mm.
I wanted to kind of get, I wanted to get a following, and like I said, Etsy was a great place to start, and um, uh, get the ball rolling and get an understanding of everything. And
Yeah.
so I created the website this summer. Summer poses some challenges for posting or shipping wax products, especially from
Oh,
Texas.
right. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
the summer's slow. I created the website this summer, and it's
Okay.
a pain in the butt. I hate that. That's the one thing I don't. Man,
What did you build it yourself?
I did. I just,
What
yeah, I did.
platform are you using?
GoDaddy.
How easy was that to work with? I don't have any experience building on GoDaddy.
I can't speak in a comparative manner
Okay.
because I haven't really built a website anywhere else. But from my little non-computer tech brain, it was a pain in the ass. But I can't say that was their fault, because
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, I can't, I could just be ignorant on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I got it done,
Yeah.
I got it done, and I'm pleased with it.
Mhm.
So when a year's time, I would probably have more information on that,
Yeah.
and to see how they perform.
When you do advertise your products, not necessarily paid, but like on social media and all, where do you tend more to send people, to your Etsy shop or to your website?
Well, now the website. It was always
Okay.
Etsy, but because I created the website and opened it in, I think, September.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was September, um, or August. And so since then, yeah, I will direct them to the website.
Okay. All right. Um, what else do you do to drive traffic to the website? Do you do any content marketing, writing up posts,
Yeah,
linking
I
back?
do. I mean, I'm on social media. I'm on um that's another thing I don't like. I just don't do, if I was to hire somebody, I'm a one woman show right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a lot of time. I have my job, my main source of income allows a lot of flexibility. So
Uh-huh.
it's fine for me to have a lot to do. I enjoy it. But that part, the marketing, social media stuff, I just am not real good at it. I enjoy photography, and I enjoy, like the creative portion of it, but
Yeah.
in terms of how to do it, when and where, and that is a challenge for me. But I think I hold my own considering.
Yeah. And
um,
I think most creatives are like that. We have our thing, we like to
yeah,
create, but then when it comes down to the more technical stuff, the things that don't really feed our brains, we're like, okay,
yeah,
can somebody else do this for me?
right. Yes, please just do influence this for me.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like an old, I mean, I'm old and I'm an old soul. So, I want to touch the record and read the book, and I want to sell
Yeah.
the product to the people.
Uh-huh.
So I, I built my thing from the inside, and now I'm working out.
Uh-huh.
So, I sent out a lot instead of spending money on advertising on
Uh-huh.
social media. I sent out, little lip balms and sample candles and things to like everyone I know. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
okay.
that way it gets, I felt like that was money better spent than the
Yeah.
social media advertising, just from my vibe and what I like and what I stand for. So
Yeah.
I did that first, and I'm still doing that now. I do shows in Texas. I do a lot of sales live,
Mm-hmm.
and just with local customers. They support me. A shout out to my Texas people. They support me, and they make it easy, and I can do the person on person sale, which I
Yeah.
enjoy. So now that the website's up and we get through the holidays, that's my, 2023 beginning of the year goals, is to get more into the online and social media marketing portion.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good goal because that's a whole different beast.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, when it comes to Etsy, do you look at what other shops that you might consider are your competition are doing, and then try and how do you use that information if that's something you do?
I did in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and I found very quickly that it was not good for my brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, it's kinda like being in a yoga class and, like, looking around at everybody, and you're
Mm.
like, "Oh, they're doing much better than I am."
Yeah.
So, I just don't look around, I do go to do price comparisons because I want my prices to be, um, fair, uh, but also reflect the high quality nature of the product. So
Yeah.
I and I want to see who's offering free shipping, and who, things like that. So I do comparisons now with that, but I don't
Yeah.
spend much time browsing like products because it,
Yeah.
it messes me up.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know about the mind games it plays, and then
What
you
is it?
end up wasting your time you could have used to actually do something constructive. I've gone down those rabbit holes too, where it's like, oh wow, look at what they're doing. I could do that.
Yes.
I should do that. Maybe I will do that. And then
And then all of a sudden your thing isn't your own. I don't, yeah,
yes,
it's
yes,
weird.
yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Now, how do you determine how to price your products? And do you price differently when you do in-person sales um as you would for Etsy, since in person maybe your fees are different?
Yeah, I try to include shipping into all my pricing on both platforms,
Okay.
Etsy and my website.
Okay.
Just because I think it's nice to know this is how much it's gonna be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
live, yeah, it's cheaper, and well, not cheaper, but obviously the shipping price isn't included in the product.
Uh-huh.
And then but for the most part I charge the same. If I have, a repeat customer, I might give them a freebie or a discount, or if somebody buys
Mhm.
bulk.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just I try to keep it the same as online. So,
Uh-huh.
so it's right. Um,
Yeah.
but as far as figuring out the pricing, I mean, I try to be fair, and I try to, not only cover my costs but also my time.
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, I wouldn't really know how. else to elaborate on it
Yeah. No,
without
that
getting
makes
into
sense.
specific numbers. But
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Now, in the time that you've been on Etsy, we're going on, well, by the time this airs, well, okay, let's say about 2 years, over 2 years. Have you ever had to deal with unhappy customers or, you know,
um,
yeah.
actually, no. I mean, I had one woman who I'm pretty sure is trying to run a game on me and shake me down, but I just obliged, and and that was it. I tried to make sure she was happy to the best of my ability without compromising myself too much, and
Yeah.
because it gets to a point. But that was it. So I got to say, I'm very fortunate. I've had
Yeah.
some shipping issues, so that's that's not necessarily on me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I rectified the situation, and I think they were
They were
pleased.
happy. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have had really good experiences on Etsy,
Mm-hmm.
um, both in dealing with people who purchase from me, and then specifically in the Black Etsy shops forum, Black owned Etsy shops,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I just thought that was awesome. I just think it's awesome. I love it. It was really helpful to me, um, in the beginning, and trying to get ideas and stuff. And it's such a safe environment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone go off or be inappropriate, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't give the greatest answer to a question somebody asks, but it's never hateful or
It's
hurtful.
always coming from a good place.
Always, and
Yeah.
people lift each other up and share their stuff and ideas, and I just found
Yeah.
it to be really cool. Yeah, so that was helpful.
I love that. I do. Um, sorry, excuse me. So I know you're on social media. Is that the primary way you drive traffic to your store, or do you try to also rely on, and this is going back to Etsy, Etsy search SEO and, all, that whole world of Etsy search?
Yeah, I really I don't know about that portion. I do, the best I can, but I have no idea how, how it's shaking out, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do a lot of local visibility stuff. So
Yeah.
that's my main thing, and then I
Mhm.
am on IG at Blackbird Botanicals 24, and then Facebook too. Although that's not a real big traffic driver these days,
Mhm.
and then and that's it. I mean, my nieces are trying to get me on TikTok, and I probably should, but like I said, New Year goals. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll get there.
You should outsource your TikTok to them. Open the account,
That's
do your branding, and then outsource it to them. Because I tell you, some of these kids, the way they figure these things out, I'm like, how did you know to do that?
it's crazy. I was with them for like 2 seconds in March. We did a vacation together, and they already made a video with my products, and it was super
Yeah.
cute. And I was like,
Yes.
"Wait, what?"
Yes,
So you're
exactly.
right. Yeah, you're right. I'll just be like, "Look, I'll give you, I don't know, $50 a month." Right now.
Yep. One of my sisters has a 12-year-old, and she's not on social media, even though she begs every single day to be on there, and
I
she's
bet.
like not, but she has her make reels for her product. She's like, okay, you can be my social media manager, and the videos she comes up with are fantastic. I'm like,
You're
you're not
inspiring
you're not
me. I am.
even
I'm
on
gonna do it.
social media. How do you know what's trending? I mean, but they know. So tap into your resources.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I did a pop-up, and couple weeks ago, and there was a girl. I was in the foyer of a business, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a girl running the front desk, young girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she did the same thing. She was she's like, "Oh, can I do some stuff with it? Looks so pretty, blah blah." And 2 seconds later, she shows me a whole video she made. I was like,
Ugh,
"What?
yeah, yeah.
No, I don't get it.
You
I
should have
don't.
just given her $5 and said, "Send
I
me the video."
know. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stefanee, when you get a new idea for either a new line of products or a new flavor or what, I don't know how to
Scent,
describe
scent, yeah, scent.
scent. Thank you.
My mom says flavor all the time too.
Yes. Um how long typically does it take you from the time you get the idea to actually um creating it and then to having it up and ready for sale?
Um, it takes longer than you'd think. In the beginning, I
Mm,
learned by trial and error that rushing something is not, you know what I mean? I
yeah.
would get like overly excited and
Uh-huh.
just be like, woo, without, taking the steps.
Yeah.
So it's like painting a room, if you're going to do it successfully, you got to tape everything off. You got to put the
Yeah.
tarp, you got to take all these steps to
Yeah.
do this actual painting
Yeah.
to make it right. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And
Okay.
like I said earlier, I'm always a season ahead.
Mm.
So right now I have half my kitchen filled with Christmas and holiday and all that. And then all my 2023 stuff is like in the family room.
Yeah.
Um, so I started designing that probably about a month ago
Mm.
and got all the products and was designing the labels in the interim and then did some testing because it's a new vessel that I'll be working with. So like I have to
Ooh.
test what wick is going to work and
Oh.
these certain scents that I'm going to come out with, what ratios and all these different things.
Wow. It's
So
like a science.
yes, it really is a lot of like lab work. And then I
Yeah.
work with soy and when soy is a really dense wax, so it cures. I mean, ideally you want to pour a candle and have it cure for 2 weeks to get
Mm.
max scent and deliciousness out of your candle.
Mm.
I found that, 8 days usually does the trick, is fine. But having said all that, when I'm testing, I want to really smell what it's going to smell like at its so I have to wait 2 weeks
Whoa.
I mean, I don't necessarily have to wait not for like testing a wick, but for testing a scent, let's say.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I want to know how it's intended to be.
Okay.
So there's a waiting time on that and then I try to perfect and design the labels. So yeah, it probably takes about a month, 2 months, but I do it leisurely. This is not a
Yeah.
rush thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started designing that line that I'll come out with in the top of the year, probably about a month and a half ago. And it's not poured and ready to sell, but I have all the stuff and I've done all the testing and it's ready to go.
So I'm so curious. Do you have like a product planning calendar to that guides you? Like you started planning for Valentine's about a month and a half ago. So do you have the whole year planned out so you can look and see, okay, this is October or November. Now start working on, products for this particular season.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I kinda got the role this year
Mm,
because, like I
mm-hmm.
said, this is now what, 2.5 years, so
Yeah.
this past year, I got an and I moved in the middle of all that, so
Oh.
I've been where I'm at now a year, so this
Mm-hmm.
past year, I've really gotten a good understanding of the rhythm of how I need to work and what
Yeah.
needs to be done when, and, I mean, I've already doubled my last year holiday sales this year,
Oh.
and it's December 2nd, so
Oh,
let's
congratulations.
keep on that, and
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
next year I'll be even busier. So, you know what I
yeah,
mean? I'll make some more adjustments
yeah,
and on it goes. So, yeah,
yeah.
I do feel good about next year and confident with like where I need to be when. Like I'm
Yes.
ready to roll out. I'm ready to do uh I'm pretty much ready to roll all of next year. I know exactly what I need to be doing when.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but and try to remain fluid and open to whatever all can happen. So
Right. Yes. Yeah, I love that you have a system in place and um you're running your business in a non-reactionary way because I know for me, yes, I've had times where it's like, oh, it's Christmas. now I should, and people started, working on their Christmas lines in July, and then
Yep.
set them live in October, and so
Yep.
yes, you really need to be organized and plan ahead, and
And that all hit me this year really hard because it just like the supply and demand and just
yes,
I was like, you know what? I think I should start planning my Christmas line. And it was July. And like I said, I'm not busy in the summer.
uh-huh,
So I was like, this is perfect downtime to just slowly start getting this together. And then when I'm ready, order it in August. I can do all
yeah,
my testing and have it ready to go in
yeah,
September.
yeah,
If it rolls out good, I can maybe, get more product to sell if need be. But I felt good, with that, that I don't know,
that
that
rhythm,
yes, that
yeah,
rhythm
yeah,
that happened. And then once like now, like I said, I've been working now the holidays set and it's September and I've ordered all my stuff and I've got it.
mm,
Then I can start slowly working on 2023
mm,
at that time.
yeah. And the good thing about doing that is, according to Etsy lore, I have
Mhm.
no, this is just what they say in the streets.
Sure.
Um, it takes a certain amount of time for the Etsy search engines to match your product to certain tags and keywords and all whatnot. And so the earlier you put your products up for a particular season, by the time it gets to that season, it recognizes that, these are like,
Oh.
it has not tested per se, but, you know,
It
it
recognizes that.
recognizes, yes. And again, disclaimer here, I don't have any proof. It's just what I've heard in the Etsy streets.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, I guess we could use the word algorithm, but
Yeah, yes.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why, like, if you at the last minute, like, let's say for Christmas, you try to start selling your Christmas products close to
Forget
Christmas.
it.
Yeah, it's,
You're gonna be on
the
page 90 or whatever.
exactly. The algorithm hasn't had time to associate your product and your tags to, those Christmas terms.
I see it. Yeah,
Whereas
I can
others
see it.
have this longevity, and built up the relevance within the
Right.
search, yeah.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll put my Valentine stuff up tonight.
Maybe December 26th.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So one of the things I like you mentioned is about the Black Etsy seller shop community, because one of the questions I like to ask is about relationships that you've developed through selling on the platform. But also, has selling on Etsy had the impact on your business and the goals that you have for your business that you expected?
I guess I would say the first year I was surprised. Like like I said, I opened June 2020, and then even though I hadn't made the candles yet, I still for where I was at and what I was doing, felt like I did well. I
Mm,
mean, I'm not paying my mortgage or anything, but like it's nice money,
yeah.
and I enjoy it, and it just I figured after the holiday it would just slow down. Well, it kept going and I was making, a consistent amount of decent side money a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
And so I was very pleased. I mean, you know, I just decided to go on the website because I felt like I wanted some amount of independence as well. But I mean, I really think a starting place, it was a great starting place
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Do you
For those reasons.
do you foresee growing your brand beyond Etsy and really just focusing on Blackbird Botanicals at some point, independent of Etsy?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to have a real live shop. That's my,
Oh, like an in person?
yeah. Nothing,
Nice.
nothing big or,
Yeah. Like a
obnoxious.
boutique type of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Blackbird boutique and just, like and it's ever changing, you know, and
Yeah.
but, you know, it's kind of like we talked about with the website. Like there's always
Yeah.
unique items, but
Uh-huh.
your baseline products are reliable in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I see a little garden with tea and
Oh, I love
some other
that.
like-minded small business local products in there that are
Yeah.
natural. And I just see so much. But I also enjoy what I do, you know, how it rolls out now. So
Mhm.
um it's not a rush thing.
Yeah.
I go back to like I'm trying to work from the inside out and build like a really strong organic clientele base
Yeah.
and worry about that instead of like paying somebody to get me a bunch of likes on IG.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
going to get me anywhere when it's a robot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's kind of my main focus right now is to grow
Okay.
that. Like my another goal for 2023 is to get in a few local shops. I
Okay.
made some headway with it last year, and then some things went a little bit wonky, and so
Mm.
it wasn't able to work out in 2022. But I think I'll be able to get in some shops
For
next
next year.
year.
Mm.
Yeah, and be able to have some, you know, even a small amount of creative control over that in terms of the aesthetic and the vibe. So
Yeah.
that would be very pleasing to me as well. So that's in the immediate, and then the brick and mortar, I guess, is in the, you know,
Yeah.
medium future.
Yeah. I would love to visit the Blackbird boutique when it's
Yes.
up
Oh
and
my
running.
God, you have to. Where are you? Where do you? Can you say?
Denver. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Colorado.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Yes. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. I'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I love that you're thinking that way. I know everyone, like lately over the last few years, a lot of stuff has, well, e-commerce has really grown, and I don't think it's going anywhere because I think
No.
life is just different now. Society is different now. It is what it is. But I
Yes.
do think that brick and mortar will become now the what's the word? You know how when something
Like
is
a classic vintage,
yes,
like,
yes, yes,
well,
yes.
as the pendulum swings, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you get too far over in the e-commerce and people are, you know, when I started, I wrote handwritten notes, and I know it's not like, whoa, you're so different, but mu people loved it, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
absolutely.
they loved appreciated a handwritten note, and so that pendulum is going to swing back in that direction, and to
Yeah.
have just, like, a really cool space, not just like a shop, but like a cool space that's a
Yeah.
boutique, and you can incorporate all different kinds of things, some
Yeah.
local flair, you know, and just make
Yes.
it more community based. I'm
Yes.
in, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
I envision like there's this tea house that I like, and I can drink tea at home. I have tea. I can boil water. But
Yes.
there's something about going to a tea house and, having just sitting down and drinking tea, and not like a coffee shop, not like, Starbucks. I mean, it's a tea house. It's just so,
Right, right,
it's
right.
just quaint.
It's a little
And
bit more romantic, a little bit more,
yeah.
um,
Yes, yes.
you know, what
Yeah,
Starbucks was when it first started 100 years ago, and there was like only one.
probably. Yeah, yes. Uh, Now, Stephanie, what, if any, lesson would you say you've picked up from learning on Etsy that has been particularly significant to you that you can share with folks who are listening?
People wanna be heard.
Mm.
People wanna be heard. When I talk to people on through Etsy, whether it be like I was saying in the forums or, you know, client to client through messaging or whatever, they wanna be heard, and that's valid, you know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
really easy to do, but
Mhm.
it's becoming less and less frequent, like active listening, and
Yeah.
I just feel like it becomes less and less frequent, and it makes sense because, you know, we text, and now
Mhm.
that's become abbreviated. So everything's just very staccato and like unfeeling. So
Yeah.
you could put off the smallest amount of energy just hearing what somebody's saying, and they just blossom. So, I mean, I definitely think that. And then on a personal level, in terms of dealing with my product, I got to listen to the people. I got to give them what they want, but I also can't lose who like
Yeah.
totally let go of all that I want to infuse
Yeah.
in it. So to find that balance.
I like
So
that.
I mean, those are the first things that came to my mind. I've
Yeah.
learned so much in the whole process. So,
Yeah.
but people wanting to be heard is, I mean, I had someone reach out to me, and it was clear something was going on. I'll just put it that way.
Uh-huh.
And I imagined other people like just either berating them or not. I don't know. I just felt like this person, it was clear the person just wanted to be heard. So
Yeah.
I just kind of pushed all the extra stuff aside and answered the question, whatever question was deep within all that they were saying, as
Yeah.
directly as I could. And they felt heard. They told me that at the end. And it just made me
Oh.
feel great. And that was one of the things when I set out starting doing this, starting this Blackbird Botanicals, was I want to make people feel good.
Yeah.
The thing was born, this thing was born in the pandemic to give me some sort of mental health, because I was
Mhm.
going to lose it if I didn't.
Yeah.
And not coincidentally, the product that I offer, I hope, can offer people some amount of, mental comfort,
Yeah.
or mind, body, spirit comfort,
Yeah.
even if it's just a little bit. So, so that's what I,
Yeah. I,
that's
I
what,
like that because I think sometimes we do lose sight of the fact that our customers sometimes are there for a particular reason, and just taking the time to connect with them, even,
yes,
as yes, we're trying to make a sale, but there's a human being that we're trying to make that sale to, who maybe just needs a moment with us.
exactly. And you hit the nail on the head with oh shoot, what did you say? Oh, now I lost it. But oh darn it, it was good. I guess it was
Just
that good.
now or earlier in the
Well, no,
conversation?
you said something that like hit the nail on the head, and then I forgot what it was, because I'm
No,
old.
I don't even remember either. I'm like, I did. But
That's
yes,
funny.
we're
Oh,
trying to
that's what it
sell
was.
to
That's what it
people.
was. Everybody has a different motivation for coming to go any shop
Mm-hmm.
on Etsy or any
Mm-hmm.
shop
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Everybody has a
Yeah.
different motivation. Maybe they want to blow off steam. Maybe they just want to, buy something. Maybe
Yeah.
they want to buy a gift. Maybe it's self-care. Maybe,
Yeah.
and so if you can kind of, people tell you who they are if you listen. So if
Yeah.
you kind of just listen to what they're saying, you can understand their motivation for why they're there. Then it's
Yeah.
really easy to facilitate their needs and make them happy.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Absolutely. Uh, what's something you're doing now that you would say is working really well for you?
Oh, for Blackbird, that's a good question. We kind of touched on it in that, like when I first started, it was specifically with creating candles. I would
Mm-hmm.
rush the process, and I just
Oh
wanted to do
yeah.
everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
now, I mean, I still offer quite a bit of different things, but I, I'm getting better at whittling it down and like
Mm-hmm.
making it more clear and
Okay.
precise, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was kind of like my trial and error, like in the testing process, so slowing it down, testing everything out, not getting ahead of yourself, not
Yeah.
adding more things to the mix
Yep.
when
Yeah. Are there any tools or resources that help you in your business or as a seller that you can share with us?
tools. Oh, that's tough. Oh, that's tough. I mean, I use a lot of tools, but I don't. I don't know if there's
And
anything
it
that's
could
like,
even be an online resource, maybe somewhere that
I
you.
mean,
Uh-huh.
I use, I mean, Avery is a really great company for
Oh, for
labels.
the labels, right, right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of obvious one, but
Not
yeah.
necessarily.
No,
Um,
you don't think so?
Avery?
Yeah,
Not necessarily, but yes, I do know them. I
a
recently
lot of
did
people.
use them. Yeah, yeah. And so when you use them, do you print yourself or do you use their printing? Because I know there's that option.
Yeah, I do a combination of both.
Okay.
Um, I mean, my mind could be playing tricks on me, but I feel like when they make the labels, they're always way better.
I was just going to ask, is the quality better? I would imagine that they bring out their
It
A
could be in
game.
my head, but, like, it's like they want you to order through them, but,
Yes. Yeah,
I
no.
also don't have a color printer right now, so,
Uh-huh.
that was one thing I was gonna treat myself to after the holiday season because then
Yeah.
I would never have to I would just order their labels blank and be able to do
Yeah.
everything from home.
Yeah.
So that's on the horizon, and then I would only really be using them for blank labels, but, they do a really good job, and I've had, like, one issue in 2.5 years, and they immediately responded
Oh,
in a
nice.
favorable way, in a good way, so
Yeah.
I'm I will be using that always, no matter, if I print it all myself or like how I do now with half and half, and then,
Yeah.
I try to do local stuff, I mean, unfortunately, there's some things you just cannot get around Amazon and buying.
Yeah.
But I try to buy as much as I can from locally.
Mhm.
So I use it's a company called Houston Candle Supply. They're also known as Buy It, Ship It, and they're not far from my house. And they have a big warehouse, and they have a lot of products that I use there.
Okay, cool.
It's very nice to be able to drive and, I can omit shipping costs and all this because I was buying my wax online and then I found this warehouse. And so now I just take a little drive and I go get my wax and I don't have to pay shipping or,
Oh, nice. Nice.
I can get a larger quantity. So that's definitely helpful. I
Okay.
wish there was more that kind of stuff around,
Yeah.
like warehouse supplies. Because, like I said, I like to touch the stuff. So it's like online, it's driving me crazy. It's like, well, I want to touch it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
get
and then
that.
I don't want to spend all this money buying. You can't just like buy one of the vessel. So it's like, uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a hands on. So if I
Okay.
had that, that would be helpful. But yeah, the supply company is nice.
Yeah, that must be really convenient too, I would imagine. So, Stephanie, this is I don't think I told you this before, and if you don't have one, that's okay. But it's an Etsy shop shout out. And usually I ask this for um I ask if you have any other Etsy seller who you just want to send some love to, whose shop you want to mention. Um oh
Yes.
good.
Jojito Creations.
How
She
do you
makes
spell it?
it's
Uh-huh.
JOJITO Creations.
Okay.
She's in the UK, but I befriended her on the island in Nicaragua,
Oh
and she,
nice.
yep, around. I think she started before, maybe even before the pandemic. But she makes handmade jewelry out of coconut shells and gourds.
Whoa.
It is, or not coconut shells, coconuts, but it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous, and she's brilliant. And she's since kind of expanded on Etsy and brought her sister in. She went back to the UK, I believe. Yeah, I would
Oh,
definitely shout
cool.
her out.
Okay, Hojito Creations. I will
Yes,
put a link to her shop in the show notes for this episode so folks can go
yes,
and check her out. And when you do, if you buy something from her, let her know that
yeah,
Stephanie
check
sent
her
you.
out.
And Stephanie, what's the best way for folks to connect with you or reach out to you if they want to get in touch or have questions?
Sure. You can reach me, or my website is blackbirdbotanicals.org.
Hmm.
And I'm on IG and Facebook at Blackbird Botanicals 24. You can also email me, same address, blackbirdbotanicals24@gmail. And I'm on Etsy. My shop there is Blackbird Botanics. So any of those platforms would work.
Great. I will have all these listed out in the show notes for this episode. So if you didn't get any of that, I will have links to Stefanee's Etsy shop, her website, and Instagram, Facebook, everywhere that you can connect with her. Stefanee, thank you
It's been a
so
pleasure.
much. Yes, it's been my pleasure to learn about what you're doing and your story and just what the future holds for Blackbird Botanicals. And I do hope to one day come and visit Blackbird Boutique wherever you decide to open it.
That would be lovely. We shall have tea.
Thank you. And I thank you for listening to this episode. I will be back with another one next week.